I think what we saw in the last 3 years was just extraordinary breakdown of our civil institutions and any sense of proportion and common sense. I mean, I really think it was verging on a mass hysteria. Actually, I still almost can't believe it happened. I mean, some of the things, I think we'll look back in Australia, and thank God I missed the worst of it back there. I was here. But I think we'll look back at the things that were done in just shock and horror at the insanity of them. They're so destructive, so futile. Anyone that supported that policy really shouldn't be listened to again on any serious matter. And I'm not going to name names because I'm not in the business of personal criticism, and I never have been. But there are some prominent people in Australia who advocated that, and they are still being taken seriously. I mean, I find that extraordinary. I mean, to advocate something that is so demonstrably destructive and stupid, even from first principles. I mean, to think that a government can control a contagious virus is insane, actually. And yet that's the underlying premise of that policy, that society will behave like your mathematical models. And it certainly will not. Even though the data is overwhelming that at a population level, masks do nothing. I mean, I don't see how it could be any clearer. Whatever your case study mathematical models might show, the reality is they don't do anything, and they have costs too. And it's, I mean, I find it staggering that's the case, but it's also the case here in the US. There are pockets of the US. I'm just trying to think where. I think Boston, perhaps, maybe some cities maybe some parts of San Francisco where they have reintroduced mask mandates for kids. And of course, for kids, I mean, how absurd. I mean, kids were never a threat anyway. So it's all very strange. It's all very political, and it is extremely political and tribal. It's got nothing to do with science or proportion or cost-benefit analysis. It's just tribalism and signaling what group you're part of.
So have you seen egregious examples such as Ali Langdon, who's not really a journalist, I get it, but, on the Today Show with Carl there saying, shut up, you need to be quiet, to Craig Kelly, these sorts of figures. Anyone, not just Craig Kelly, others as well, just taking this really emotional position.
That's not true, Craig. I mean, I spent time online last night and have managed to debunk every one of your theories. They're not peer-reviewed. They're not peer-reviewed. I don't even want to get into this because, you're the only person saying this. We've got to listen to our doctors and our scientists. Don't you need to pull your head in? I did my research, Craig, as you asked us to do. You need to listen for a moment.
But hang on.
No worries, Craig. You're in a position of responsibility, and I think you're failing in that duty.
I'll continue to speak the truth and tell the truth.
It'd be nice if you started.
If the media want to
misrepresent
misrepresent my position, I'm going to come on and I'm going to defend it, because I will not have slander and smear and said against me when the facts are incorrect.
Okay, Craig. Hundreds of billions of dollars spent in government stimulus. All our hopes are riding on a vaccine. You need to be quiet.
Look, I mean, generally, I was disappointed with the media response, and I've written that in the Australian a few weeks ago. I wrote a critical comment about the media's response to vaccine mandates, which were prosecuted with almost a religious zeal. I think you won't find that anymore, because clearly there are some injuries out there, and I think in hindsight, most people would probably say it was a mistake to force them on people. Certainly, it went against any prior, prior medical ethics. Certainly, given that the vaccines were rushed, obviously they were new. They didn't go through the normal procedures. You would think under those circumstances you would not force them on an entire population, but that's what happened. And I think I think the collateral damage of that, both health and political, is going to last years. But it's true, as you suggest, most people supported it. So I didn't. But certainly on the vaccine issue, as opposed from lockdowns, I was a lot more muted about vaccine mandates, because they became a religion. And as you know through history, if you criticize the state religion, you can be burned at the stake. And so I was very reluctant to be burnt at the stake. I'd gone quite far enough on lockdowns. I wasn't going to be burnt at the stake by criticising them at the time, but I certainly have now in the past year or so.